assume that they are the favorites. Magnus starts with the white pieces in set 1 of this final. He employs the Catalan opening, something he's been doing for a long time now. Many years. This is his pet line.
Now, we should explain the scoring system is going to be slightly different in the grand final. For those of you in the audience and watching at home, we have the grand final as a best of 3 sets. So, set 1 is going to be a best of 4, like you have seen, for example, in the quarterfinals of this tournament. Whoever wins that goes a set up. They then have to get 2 sets to win. If it's tied 1 set all, we go to a third deciding set, and that's going to be a best of 2. Any set can still be decided by Armageddon.
You know, the first surprise of the match for me has already been done. It was on stage when Magnus was talking, an admission by him that he's nervous for this match. And that's not usual at all. Even if Magnus is feeling the tension or the nerves, I've never heard him say that right before an encounter.
Me neither. It's a historic moment on the board, off the board. Magnus' nerves did almost hinder him against Hikaru Nakamura, but he's hoping to shake them off. If Magnus strikes first, he is so hard to catch. Hikaru, one of the few who has the ability to strike back. I think Alireza, he will want to be at least holding this first game with the black pieces as we see the first big decision. The Queen's Gambit, the Catalan opening is a branch of that, has been accepted. Magnus trying to go pawn hunting with his queen to restore the balance.
E5, D5 being played now. We've seen a similar position with lots of tension in the center. We now have the pawns being pushed next to each other. Still a very similar position to one we've seen many times in the Esports World Cup, but we're going to start seeing some subtleties now, some nuanced differences.
And this is the first moment in the game. Alireza goes into a think. There are options with the knight. Where do you run to? 3 squares that I've seen play on in the board. You could move it forward to d4, b4, or retreat to e7, trying to get the knight to the other side of the board. And the one chosen by Alireza, an aggressive one, getting the knight to b4, disconnecting the white queen, saying, you know what? You'll still have to sweat to recapture that pawn.
A very ambitious opening play from Alireza Firouzja, met by equally ambitious play by Magnus Carlsen. This is a deflection tactic. The black dart-squared bishop caught in 2 minds now. It can take the white knight that's just jumped and captured on e5, but it would come at the cost of black's knight on the b4 square. We see that one is a bit loose right now, and Magnus forcing Alireza to think for the first real time in this game.
If we get an early time advantage on the clock in game number 1 of set 1, that's going to be fantastic.
And what a move. It's tactics galore, double exclamation mark landing. The black knight might have been doomed anyway. He was trying to throw it away for the highest price possible. The white knight was also attacked. That one has jumped back, and we see Magnus's screen, the red there, showing his pre-move. Knights leaving the board. The dust is settling. It's still level material. Who will that little melee have favored?
And it comes down to the pawn structure one more time, right? Pawns are the soul of chess. And here we see with everything else equal, is going to be the attack on that c3 weakness that Magnus has, but in return has opened up certain lines for his rook. Let's point out that beautiful bishop on g2, eyeing the b7 weakness. Once the rook slides over to b1, Magnus is going to try to get into Alireza's camp.
So now we're in a situation, both sides, of course, have the bishop pair. They're jostling for position, trying to improve the positions of their pieces. The queen ducking away from the d-file as well, so that it's not forced with tempo. If white decides to put a rook on the d-file, for example, white would obviously like black to take the bishop on e3 so that the recapture with the knight could be possible and starts to improve the position there. But otherwise, the real difference here does come down to pawn structure, and we do see white with those 2 isolated pawns on the A and C line. Not a problem at the moment, but that could be a longer-term weakness.
Definitely. And in the meantime, Magnus looking very calm on the camera. He talked about nerves, but his heart rate is down at 66. Let's take a note of everyone's baseline here. Alireza started the game with a decently high heart rate. It's gone up to almost 100 already. It's a huge, momentous occasion. Who will come out on top? Magnus improving his rook in the meantime. It's his type of position. It's very technical. No big attacks on either side's king. Mutually, kind of lots to be excited about. Alireza with Magnus's weak pawns, but Magnus with his active pieces.
And I like that last move. You were speaking about active pieces. Alireza blunts that bishop on g2 with c6. And right now, Magnus offers his trademark queen trade every single player on the planet must think not twice, but 5 times before getting queens off the board against Magnus.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because typically you think, okay, queens off the board, that means there are fewer dynamics in the position to play with. There's the possibility of easier draws in the game compared to when queens are on. Yet Magnus is very happy to do that every single time and find small and subtle ways to get the wins despite this. It's absolutely incredible, and that's probably the reason why Firouzja is moving the queen away.
I love it. It only took him under 20 seconds to decide whether to take the queens off the board or to keep them on. Alireza, he sticks true to his guns, playing to his style. He's a very attacking player, needs the queens. And he's playing against Magnus's biggest strength, the endgame. Take the queens off there, improve the white pawn chain, and you are suffering for the rest of this encounter. Alireza wants to go hunting for Magnus's king. The black queen standing on the edge of the board. Will this threat be blocked? Will she run away? And there we go. The bishop jumps out. That's a pawn sacrifice. Magnus grabs on b7, but Alireza will restore the material balance now.
And in a big way, right? Because you end up putting your queen on those light squares. Looks extremely well placed there with the black knight jumping in. Queen takes pawn to come in next. But Magnus has ideas of his own. That knight can jump to the center of the board, as it does with a double attack on the queen. Pawns are getting off the board here. Is this fizzling out?
It looks like the game is being guided towards equality, but there are enough ingredients left for both sides to get optimistic. Especially here, I'm going to say Magnus Carlsen, the white knight, is super powerful. It's a bit of an octopus right now. Its tentacles over 8 squares, covering some important jumping points for the black rooks. The white queen active as well. It looks like it should be level, but it's up to Firouzja to prove it.
Well, Firouzja's got one big trump in the position. His own queen, right, which can start targeting not only the pawns on the left side, the one pawn Magnus has remaining. And a big hello to our live audience there. You know, this has been so awesome. Chess feels alive here in Riyadh. But coming back to the position, you know, Alireza takes a pause right now. That queen can go pawn hunting, as it does, and also defend his own pawn. And a big blunder.
Wow, Magnus frowning. There's a huge move right now. He can trap black's rook in the corner. This is so hidden, so difficult, but will Magnus Carlsen see it? He's frowning. The white knight can go to the b8 square. The black, he's found it, Magnus Carlsen. He's winning the black rook due to some back rank issues here. Double exclamation mark given. Firouzja, he hasn't realized yet, hasn't reacted, but suddenly he finds himself lost.
Firouzja in shock right now. That rook trapped from an innocuous position. It felt like this was fizzling out. All the trades that happened and a one-move blunder. And look at that. You can take the queen, but the rook takes queen, comes in with a massive check. It's not checkmate. Firouzja can drop back with the queen, but he lose big material. Magnus Carlsen with a winning advantage here.
That is unbelievable. And out of nowhere, we have an incredible tactic. And suddenly, this is all Magnus Carlsen in game number 1. Almost uncharacteristic of Firouzja there, but it's very difficult to spot as well. We've been talking about knights back to the back rank. Your opponent's back rank is what won that piece for Magnus. Incredible.
Yeah, it was so hidden. It was a queen sacrifice, so maybe we show in a slow action replay what just happened, what could have happened if Firouzja had taken the queen. In this position, it was better for the black queen to step elsewhere, maybe give the black king some breathing space instead, because after a queen slide to a3, we saw knight to b8. Such a rare pattern, almost unique, trapping the black rook in the corner, which had to take the knight, had to give itself up for the highest price possible, and then the queen sacrifice. Queen takes rook. If the queen had been captured, we would have seen a rook land, back rank checkmate, had to be blocked by the black queen, and ultimately rook for knight advantage. That is the status quo in the current position as well, if we catch up with the current game, but it's the queens coming off. Might be ending very shortly. Magnus Carlsen is going to pick off black's pawn. The a7 pawn is going to be rook versus knight, but no fortress here. 3 pawns versus 3 pawns on the same flank is known to be a winning endgame. Magnus knows it too.
This is busted for Firouzja. And what a gift this has been in game 1. In the very first start, where it looked like Firouzja knew everything that he was doing and doing it absolutely right, keeping control on the clock, taking the pawns off the board, having his own activity. And then a one-move blunder. Unbelievable. Magnus was in shock.
It's out of nowhere. And while that's unbelievably shocking, at the same time, how many times have we said It's come out of nowhere when we're commentating a game involving Magnus Carlsen. He generates these opportunities. He generates his own luck. It's incredible that that's happened. Now we need to look at the reaction of Firouzja. He knows that this first game is probably a loss. However, what can he do about it? What does his mentality look like?
He has to recover from everything that's happened. I think he has to calm himself down. He's not resigning. He's going to try to fight this out. But in his head, somewhere he's getting ready for that fight in game 2. Rather than rushing to that after a blunder, many times in our own heads, we're sort of accepting the reality of what's just happened, getting ready for the fight that's coming on, where he will be playing with the white pieces. But how trivial is this endgame as Firouzja tries to set up a fortress?
It still takes time. Magnus will still need to maneuver. At the moment, he's trying to break through with his king. He's going to have to use teamwork here. The white rook and white king need to target the base of black's pawn chain. It's all about the f7 square. Black's got to keep it defended with his king. He's got to use his knight to shield and shoulder away white's king as it tries to approach that pawn.
And if this is a theoretical win for white, how does he break through? At what point does black no longer have any defense against this?
It's when that pawn falls, simply. It's when the white rook lands on the 7th rank and when the king, the white king, is able to approach. At the moment, it can't get any closer, but Magnus now taking away squares from the black knight, for liberating his rook. Easy to kick the black king away, but it's the knight and the jumps there you need to be careful of.
You know, what was so impressive was that pattern, the tactical motive that Firouzja missed on the board and allowed his own rook to get trapped in its starting position was spotted by Magnus in under 1 second. The moment Firouzja moved his queen to the wrong square, Magnus, you could see it on him. He leaned forward. He was locked in. He knew that Firouzja had made a massive blunder.
Look how the black knight is actually trapped on its back rank. No squares. Magnus, almost with a head bob, kind of shaking in the chair now. He knows this is a dream start to him. I'm not going to fault Firouzja at all. That was the most hidden trick, most sneaky tactic I've seen so far at the EWC. And there we go. It's the first result of the grand final.
Resignation in game number 1 after an incredible time.